Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler up at Harvard University for a Thursday show here. And it's been a while, Ziggy. We had a week, pretty much a week off now since our last recording. Just some stuff came up on Tuesday's show and it wound up having to push it. But we're back on Thursday. Ziggy, some big time news from last week that I know it was your birthday on last Thursday's show.
I'm not very happy about how I was introduced for the show.
Sorry. Let me redo this here.
Can we go off the top again?
Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Dr. Robert Ziggy Ziegler up at Harvard University. So congratulations, Ziggy. Passing your dissertation. Massive news.
Thank you, Paul. It's, with the support of Packers Nation behind me, how could I not succeed? It was blue skies in Virginia. I walked around. I was wearing the Ziggy jersey. I thought about wearing it to the defense, and I thought things just can't get any better.
I was laughing because I actually called Ziggy guys to apologize after Thursday's episode came out because we recorded it and I knew he passed his dissertation, but I didn't want to bring anything else up about Ziggy because I was afraid I was going to spoil the news and I wanted him to be the one to share that. Not realizing it was Ziggy's birthday also on Thursday, forgetting to say it's Ziggy's birthday. So as soon as we finished recording, I went, oh my God, in trying not to talk about Ziggy, I forgot to give him the birthday shout out. So I gave him a quick phone call, and Ziggy obviously was furious, right? Ziggy was beyond irate.
There could be a significant holdout. I might miss some time going into the regular season. I was very unhappy with the way I was treated, and given that I'm really the star performer on the show.
So that's why you saw all the birthday posts with Ziggy. I didn't realize, but I posted the Ziggy Bachelor graphic last year as well. So that's just the tradition now on the show is on your birthday, the Bachelor graphic will be out. So again, if you're enjoying this content, you gotta like, comment, subscribe as we're closing in ever so slowly on that 30,000 subscriber mark. We appreciate everyone for tuning in here. A quick segment that we came up with that we thought would be fun during the off season.
Well, hold on. Before we get there, why don't we update people about who's leading the bracket challenge?
Okay. Do you have it in front of you?
I'm loading it up and you're going to edit it so it looks seamless. I really thought I could have it pulled up, but you know this ESPN website, it's a disaster.
The bracket challenge is not going well for me this year. After having the bracket of destiny, winning the survivor pools last year that I was in, winning all the bracket challenges, including the Paul Farrington Show one, it's safe to say that I will not be repeating as champion. I think I'm in like the 30th percentile. I'm not just a bad bracket, a terrible bracket. Who do we have leading right now?
So leading the general Paul Farrington Show bracket, we've got a two-way tie between PC Williams and Legal. L-I-E-G-L.
Who are their champions?
Michigan.
Okay. Who's the first Arizona champion?
The highest person without a Michigan champion is actually longtime supporter of the show, Tommy Cassius.
Really? Tommy Cassius with Arizona. Okay.
So things could be looking good on that front. Ziggy is at 170, exactly in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
In the members only bracket, I'm also exactly in the middle, but leading that is Duke Sucks from Jordan.
Duke Sucks from Jordan. Who'd they pick to win it all? Duke?
Well, Arizona.
Arizona. Okay. That Arizona-Michigan game is going to be a lot of fun. That will be a lot of fun on Saturday.
That will be a bracket deciding game.
It pretty much will. I think the winner of that's going to win the national championship. So we have, this is fitting for the segment that we are going to loosely introduce here if this wasn't a football show. And we're just going to mention a couple topics that are big time around outside of the NFL. The NCAA tournament's a good place to start with the Duke collapse there. What do you think of the Hurley putting his head against the ref conundrum that's going on?
Look, his explanation that he thought the tournament ref wanted to chest bump him.
Very weird.
Sort of strange.
Very weird.
I mean, I guess that's what I would say in that spot because what else are you supposed to say? Yeah, I headbutted the referee.
You have to think that they were but I know that they said they were friends, right? And they're joking. There's videos of them joking around during the game and stuff, but it would have been unbelievable, like an all-time tournament moment if he had got teed up right there, and he could have. There was no reason.
Yeah, if he gets teed up, Duke gets 2 free throws, wins 74-73.
It would have been hard to argue too, because people would have come out and they would have been furious at the ref. You can't do that in that situation, but. Look, you stick your head.
Assault the ref in the middle of the game.
All right, assault. Yeah. You stick your head in the ref's face like that, literally touching, right? Foreheads touching.
Like that.
It would have been bad.
Legal definitions here, but a headbutt to the face. I don't know, man.
It would have been bad if he called a technical foul, but I would have actually been able to understand why it happened. And it would have been all time in the NCAA tournament history. So we'll look forward to the Final Four, Michigan and Arizona. Then we have UConn, not Duke, UConn and Illinois. Should be a lot of fun. Luka Doncic ends March with 600 points. If you're going through Luka's stats lately, the point totals are just unbelievable. It's like 50, 60, 43. He's been on fire, and the Lakers are surging. They're 15-2 in March. I believe he's the second player ever with 600 or more points in March. The only other one, Michael Jordan.
Can I say, Paul, I don't really like this new trend in the NBA media where like players are just being asked by reporters to like justify their MVP case.
Yeah, well,
like
did it start with Wemby?
Wembanyama did it, but like Shea got asked to get like, why are you the MVP? Luka got asked why he is the MVP. I don't know. I'd rather talk about basketball than the MVP stuff. And I think it's sort of weird to make players make their case. This is a truly unbelievable year. We're seeing so many outrageous individual performances.
Yeah, and if I were a player, I just let the guys vote on MVP. I don't know. It feels a little weird to me if you're having to make your case for MVP. If you're the MVP, people will know you're the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, like what Luka said, right? Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not voting. We're just winning games here. That's what I've.
That's all you need to do. Win. He's making a good case. And then last but not least here, this is very disappointing for, my heritage here. Italy misses the third straight World Cup. They lost to Bosnia and was it Herzegovina? How do you pronounce it? Bosnia and Herzegovina. I don't know. I mean, all I know is in soccer history, growing up, Italy was a international power, and now they're losing to Bosnia in penalty shootouts. And like, it's just disappointing. I always rooted for Italy once the Americans get knocked out all the time. So once we were out, I'd cheer for Italy. But I get that in the Bosnia game, right? They were playing down a man, and in soccer, that's a big deal. But 3 years in a row without any World Cup representation. They're the first they're the first champion, right? The team that's won the World Cup to ever miss 3 straight. And it's just been a disaster. It's almost unfathomable for Italy to miss a World Cup, let alone 3 in a row. Very disappointing.
I am happy that I'd much rather Bosnia make it than Italy.
Did Bosnia get in with that win?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm a fan of Bosnia compared to Italy. I want Bosnia to win all their games.
The Americans have played a couple exhibition matches.
But yeah, Bosnia did qualify.
They qualified. Okay. The Americans, I know they played Portugal. They lost, I believe, 7-2 in 2 combined into matches, warm-ups. And I'm going to get really excited when the World Cup comes around. But I feel like you get smacked in the face every time with Team USA, where within the first maybe 5 minutes of them playing a decent team, every American leans back and goes, all right, I guess they're just not that good again.
Well,
it seems like that's the
our
case.
Group is winnable.
Oh, well, if we don't get out of the group, it's another disaster. If the U.S. doesn't get to the knockout stage, especially on their home soil with the group that they have, it's like, it's hard to say it's a disaster, but like then we turn
the
on.
US isn't going to win. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they're going to get second in the group. That's what they should be gunning for.
Well, then you turn on Alexi Lalas, right? And he every single year he'll be like, this is not where American soccer needs to be. I don't think we're ever going to get there. So it's not our sport. We don't put our athletes toward it. It is what it is. So I'm not getting my hopes up for the World Cup. I was very bummed out to see the way that the team has been playing in the warm-ups. But I'll still be excited, and I'll go crazy. I'll root for us. I'll get all the gear on, and I'll believe. I'll talk myself into it. That's what, as everyone knows on the show, that's what I do. But I'm saying right now, to anyone who is a sensible person, it does not seem to be going in the right direction, and it never has, and it probably never will.
The problem is they've never been able to find a coach, and I'm not sure that Poch is going to be that coach.
Pulisic hasn't scored, I think, at all for club or the U.S. team in 2026. We don't need to talk anymore about soccer. All right. So with that said, a couple big NFL stories that we want to talk about that came out today, and then a Jordan Love article from a few days ago. Is Jordan Love elite? Came out on Sports Illustrated that caught our attention. So we're going to react to that. First, though, the big story, and this just came out very recently here. Puka Nacua is in rehab right now. Now, we're not going to get into, a whole bunch of debating and Puka and his rehab. That's a personal thing. Good for Puka. If he, seemingly feels that he needs to be in rehab right now, he's checked into it's a Malibu rehab facility, which is allegedly the place that he's in is for, potential alcohol or drug problems or mental health, all those issues. And, Ziggy, what I'm really thinking about this is we just saw Jackson Smith and Jigba get the largest contract in the history of NFL receivers. And everyone's kind of been waiting around, right? Saying like, all right, when's Puka going to get this contract? When are the Rams going to do this? But with all the stories that have been coming out, and there's the New Year's Eve incident where he bit someone and apparently broke the skin. He's at the Super Bowl party, hammered in the street. He's on the anti-Semitic remarks. It's just been piling up for Puka where, this guy who's such a lovable character, it seems like, and someone who's, he's in commercials all the time, so charismatic. Really, I think he's becoming a face of the National Football League. It just doesn't seem like he's handling fame well at all. He's not in Green Bay, right? He's not in a place like Green Bay where you're out of the spotlight. He's in Los Angeles, stars everywhere. He's going out with supermodels and he's DMing people on Twitter. Puka's name's everywhere, and he's in a place where that gets magnified. And it just seems like that hasn't been great for him. So I'm happy that he's checked him, that he's, taking care of himself. But when it comes to the Rams, right, and what we talk about on this show, giving guys these contracts, I can understand. It makes a little more sense now. And it's like, okay, we've seen guys take themselves out of the league before. Josh Gordon did it. Johnny Manziel did it. Like, it happens. Some guys just can't handle it. Puka undeniably is one of the best receivers in football. It's over 1,700 yards last year, right? Him and JSN were easily the two best in the league. But when you have these mounting problems, and again, he's just 20, he's about to be 25 years old. I think eventually it will get done, but it's just cause for concern. It makes a little bit more sense to me why we've seen this delay. And, the Rams are probably thinking through it. If we're going to invest a ton of money in this guy who will probably reset the market too, you got to invest money in someone that will be on the field and be a good representative of the team. So hopefully Puka can get that straightened out. But that was big news to me. I know, Ziggy, you didn't really want to comment on it too much.
There's one thing I will comment on, though. Puka's lawyer is perhaps the most famous for getting in trouble for one shot killing a gigantic alligator.
Are you serious?
Yeah. There was a whole legal dispute with his lawyer for killing an alligator that was 900 pounds that may have been on someone's property.
I don't know where you get
I'm
this
making
stuff,
this
man.
up. This is in fact completely true. If you Google his lawyer's name and then alligator.
No, it's too random for me to believe it's made up.
He killed a 900-pound alligator on somene's property. And the guy's like, well, you got to give me that alligator because it was on my property.
My question to you, Ziggy, is how do you back into this? So Zach texts us right just before the show. He goes, Puka's in rehab. Okay, we don't want to get too into that because it's a personal story, but we'll talk briefly about the Ram side of it. That's what I'm reading the article, right, about what's going on. How do you come to the point where you're seeing that his lawyer shot a 900-pound alligator? Take me down the Google search history.
There was a statement from his attorney, right, about him entering into the facility.
Okay. And
I thought, I wonder what this lawyer is famous for. And it turns out what he's famous for is representing Chris Brown, Joe Exotic, and Jerry Jones. And I think, that's sort of an interesting group of characters. I wonder if this guy, who has his own, he says he specializes in partnering with influential individuals who have been wrongly targeted.
Okay.
I'm like, I wonder if this guy, what else this guy's done, right? Chris Brown, Joe Exotic, Jerry Jones. You think there might be something there? And I see some of the same name got in a legal dispute over killing a 900-pound alligator. And I thought there's just no way this is the same guy. And then it turns out it's the same guy.
I don't know. I don't know how you do it, Ziggy. I really have no idea.
I'll say one last thing. Unbelievable mustache. One of the best mustaches I've ever seen. One of the worst beards I've ever seen.
You're an enigma, man. That's unbelievable. Okay, so get better Puka. Hopefully that gets resolved.
Puka, don't dress up as a large alligator around your attorney. That could go very poorly if it's Halloween.
The way Puka's been behaving, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So this Jordan Love article, okay. Sports Illustrated, and I want to give credit to the writer, Bill Huber. This is a couple days ago. Fact or fiction? Packers Jordan Love is an elite quarterback. After 3 seasons as the Packers starting QB, is Jordan Love an elite QB? Top 10 player at the position. So, I mean, before we even get into all the numbers and stuff, I do think that defining what an elite quarterback is an important piece of criteria here.
Top 10 seems pretty generous to me.
Top 10's too broad to be considered elite, per my definition. I think that elite quarterback, you're talking at the very most, probably top 5.
Yeah, well, it's like let's just think, like, who are some of the guys in the running for top 10? Dak Prescott, Trevor. I'm ready to set Jordan Love aside for this because I think it was like Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence. Who else is around there? Caleb Williams is around there.
Darnold
CJ
might be there.
Stroud, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold. Like, there's a bunch of guys there.
Jaden Daniels.
Few of those guys are really in the conversation for elite, right?
If you're an elite quarterback, to me, there really shouldn't be much doubt about your belonging in the top 10, right? So when we
it's
say,
not necessarily about being top 10 or not.
Sure.
Right? It's not a particular number.
No, what I'm saying though is if you think Jordan Love's a top 10 quarterback and you're like, yeah, he might be top 10, he's not elite then. To be an elite quarterback, it's someone, if I say to you Patrick Mahomes, you go, yeah, top 5 quarterback. If I say to you Josh Allen, you're going to say top 5 quarterback. Matthew Stafford right now, I think is a top 5 quarterback. Lamar had a down year, but would you still take him over most guys? Yeah, you probably would. And Burrow, I mean, again, there's a little more questioning coming into this year around Lamar.
It's 100% injury related, though.
With Burrow, yes. Well, Lamar, I know people are down on him, but come on, if we're being serious here, you want to be taken seriously, you're going to take Lamar Jackson. What, are you not?
I was looking to see if Jack was.
Oh, okay, yeah. But to me, those 5 guys right now, Stafford, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, they're elite. Elite guys, no doubt about it. Justin Herbert in that next range of quarterbacks. I know that you're a little down. Are you down on Herbert?
Yeah. I'm this show's number 1 Herbert hater.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to remember if you were the Herbert hater. Yeah. Herbert is in the next group of guys who like you're waiting to become elite but aren't quite there. So Jordan Love's an interesting case because if we go back to 2023, when this show was starting to get popular, and I think what's amazing that you can do is you can take this show's success and pretty much correlate it with Jordan Love's success as well. That's one thing that we have that no other show can do when talking about Jordan Love. We know the highs and the lows because we ride that wave.
Correlation there between like Jordan Love passing yards and our show's views is like 0.8 or higher. It's almost direct.
It has to be. Oh, absolutely. When Jordan Love is good, this show does well. That's just the way it is. It's very upsetting as a Viking fan, but that's what happens. 2023, our show was a rocket ship. In January and December of 2023, straight to the moon. We went from 200 to 10,000 subscribers kind of immediately. And that set up the expectations for our show and for Jordan Love that this is the next big thing, at least in our minds, right? And now we weren't going crazy here, but you're thinking with Jordan Love, this is the next guy. The whole offseason, we're running content, CJ Stroud or Jordan Love. Who's that number 5 quarterback in the NFL? Talking about the elite guys. He gets hurt in the beginning of the season against the Eagles, injuries all year long. Packers stumble their way into the 7th seed. They get knocked down the first round. This year, we're kind of doing the same thing this past offseason. All right, he's going to be healthy again. The rest of the team's going to be healthy. This is the year. They get Micah, unbelievable start, and then inexplicable losses to the Browns, to the Panthers as well, right? You know, you tie the Cowboys in a game that you had real control of early on in the season. You lose to the Bears and 2 heartbreakers in Soldier Field. And you can point to different times of the year and say, Jordan Love was as good as he could have been. And the defense let him down in this game. There are other times where you can go, against the Panthers, the offense kind of shut down. Or against the Browns, right? Great defense, right? But made some mistakes, right? Jordan had a pivotal turnover in that game. So when we're talking about Jordan Love being elite or not, a lot of the key metrics will point to that. You're looking at passer yards, passer ratings, touchdowns to interceptions. Jordan Love has elite numbers. He can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anyone in the league. Results have not quite been there. They haven't won the division with Jordan Love, which kind of feels surprising, right? Given the way we've talked about the Packers and given the way we think about Jordan Love, they still haven't won a division. So to me, Ziggy, Jordan Love is not yet an elite quarterback. Do I think he's very good? Absolutely. Would I take him over at least 20 quarterbacks in football? Probably more. Yes. But elite needs to be a word that we stop throwing around so loosely. And Jordan Love has not been elite. Very good. Agree?
Yeah, well, if you take elite to mean Hall of Fame, Jordan Love has not been there. And I think back, like, to some extent, when you have a truly elite quarterback, right, it's easy to say there have been injuries, there's been coaching issues, and all of that has been true. Mm-hmm. But you take someone like Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning, right, in their primes, coaching just didn't matter, right? It's like, okay, the coach is struggling with the offense. I simply do not care. I am Aaron Rodgers. I will just make the offense good on my own. Peyton Manning, I will simply make the offense good on my own. Patrick Mahomes, right? No, basically, we can talk about Packers injuries all day long, but the Chiefs offense has been so talent depleted since Tyreek Hill left and for so long. What he's done there has been incredible. Josh Allen. Who has Josh Allen had in terms of coaching or in terms of weapons? So, like, if we're separating things out from tiers, I agree that Jordan Love is just below there. But it's more of a consistency issue with Jordan Love than a ceiling issue. We've seen that Jordan Love can play 8, 9, 10 games, looking like an MVP, looking like, at worst, one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
And right, these aren't one-game performances. These are extended stretches of football, including in some big games, right? People want to forget what Jordan Love did to the Cowboys in that first playoff game. And I know there's been history since then. People want to forget how good the offense was in the first half of that Bears game, even though it struggled in the second half. So if I were making a bet, do I think Jordan Love can be elite next year? Absolutely. What we need to see, and this is an issue, I think, of maturity and playing time. By maturity here, I don't mean like he's goofing around. I just mean you need time out on the field. We need to see that be more consistent if the Packers want to win a Super Bowl, because you have to win the division pretty much to have a chance. And then you have to do it 2, 3, 4 straight games in the playoffs.
I'm a big believer in Jordan Love. I don't want people to think just because I say he's not elite right now that I don't think he is an excellent quarterback. I think he can be an MVP caliber guy. And you mentioned it. That Chicago game, I think that Chicago game's a pretty good representation of what the Packers have been for the past 3 years. They've had moments where you watch them play and you say that team's going to win the Super Bowl. Like, there's no doubt about it. They are, if not the best, one of the very best teams in football. And then they come out in the second half and things start falling apart and you're going, what is happening here? Like where is that team that I just saw them? Where are they? And you kind of get that inevitable feeling that something terrible will happen, right? That ultimate moment where they have, the Hail Mary given up, or they drop the, onside kicks, whatever it is. That feels like it's been the Packers for a while. And it kind of feels like that's been Jordan Love's situation too, where he's been dominant at times. And then I don't think he's really been horrible since 2023 and in the beginning of his time as a starter. But he's just been maybe a little disappointing at times. And until that consistency can be followed through, it's hard to put him in the elite category. He has elite potential, and he's hit elite before. But the guys we compare him to, you said Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, right? What did Brett Favre do? 26, 27, 28, won 3 MVP awards. What did Aaron Rodgers do his 27 to 28-year-old season? Won the MVP. There's no doubting if you're elite when you're winning MVP awards, unless I guess you're Drake May if you're right there, right? And you have the worst schedule ever. But that's it to me. This season now, his 4th year starting, the weapons should be back. He has to take his game to another level. And if he does that, the Packers can win the Super Bowl. But if it's the same
it's
story,
not even taking his game to another level. It's taking it to the best level it can be and just staying there,
which is hard. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. That's what makes the elite guys elite.
Yeah, but if you compare this to guys who we've never seen get there before, I think you can be a lot more confident it's going to come out of Jordan Love.
Oh yeah, I think he's awesome. I think he's great, and you're going to get Tucker Kraft back. You're going to have a full season of Watson and Reed. You hope Matthew Golden can take a step. I think the Packers are in a really good spot. But, I like if you put a gun to my head right now and said, would you rather have Jordan Love or Caleb Williams moving forward? Next year.
Don't say what you're about to say.
Next year, I would take Jordan Love.
Don't.
If you said for the next 5 years, I think I'd say Caleb Williams.
Why? Sorry, I'm going to take the guy who's actually played consistently good football before. Jordan Love at his worst, basically, has been better than Caleb Williams at his best, and you're going to take Caleb Williams over that?
I don't know about Jordan at his worst has been better than Caleb at his best.
If we're talking more than half a game sample size, yes.
Well, Caleb's played 1 year. Half a game is a lot of Caleb Williams' career.
Caleb Williams has played more than 1 year.
Sorry. Caleb Williams Caleb Williams has had one good year, I guess you can say. His rookie. When I watch Caleb Williams
compare
play,
Jordan Love's first 2 years to Caleb Williams' first 2 years and see how it looks.
Well, Jordan Love's first 2 years were on the bench.
I mean, first 2 years playing football.
In year two with Ben Johnson. Or year one, I'm sorry, with Ben Johnson, year two playing. I thought you saw a lot of demonstrable improvements from Caleb Williams. He has a better arm than Jordan Love. He has an uncanny ability to escape, which I think is a superpower of his. And the potential of Caleb, I think, is higher than that of Jordan Love. Now, will that be reached? I don't know. And Chicago is a place where quarterbacks have historically never worked out.
How much better you can do than the second half of 2023 Jordan Love?
No, that's elite. But again, he hasn't gotten back to that.
Better than that. I'm not sure you can be much better than that. But what I can say is Caleb Williams has never gotten close to that.
But Jordan Love was there, and he has not gotten back to that point either. Again, next year, I think Jordan Love is the better quarterback, but I think Caleb's potential intrigues me enough that I'd probably say let's roll with Caleb.
The guy who's been there and picking the guy who
been there, been where? Been where? The second round of the playoffs?
What do you mean?
Well, been where? Where has Caleb? Where has Jordan Love gone?
Consistently good football.
Caleb won the division and was an overtime throw away from going to the NFC Championship game. He's been just as far as Jordan Love has gone.
Yeah, I don't judge players based on the round of the playoffs they're eliminated. I judge them by how good they are at playing football. And Caleb Williams has never played the quarterback position at the level of Jordan Love in the NFL. It's just never happened.
But Caleb Williams is, again, a lot younger than when Jordan Love took over. I know that Jordan's playing didn't start till later in his career. But Caleb...
Sure, look, you can say all that. I'm just saying, if your bet is, do you want to bet on the guy who's done it before to do it again, or the guy who never has to do it for the first time? It's obvious what you should be betting.
But watching Caleb last year, it wasn't like you're watching a guy with his head cut off running around, right? It wasn't.
That's sort of what it looks
year.
Like when he completes 58% of his passes.
But it wasn't rookie year Caleb. Rookie year Caleb was running all over the place.
Completed 62% of his passes.
Rookie year Caleb also took 68 sacks. He led the league in sacks his rookie year, and he reduced that number by 40. Was it 40 or 50 this season?
Yeah, well, Caleb Williams improved. I'm not denying that.
Significantly reduced interceptions. Decision making was a lot better as the year went on. The Bears won the division. I think Caleb Williams, when having a stable head coach and a stable environment around him, looked like a really good quarterback at times. Now, is it a little bullish? Yes, it would be to take Caleb. Because right now, Jordan Love is the better quarterback. But I don't think it's crazy at all if any Bears fan comes out or any NFL fan comes out and says, I'd like to invest in that. He has all the attributes that you want. And it's just a matter of putting it together. There's a little bit of a hope this works out if you're going to make that decision. But I think what you saw last year would tend to lean towards things actually working in Caleb's favor and him becoming the quarterback so many people think he can become than him reverting back to his rookie season ways. where he was making mistakes all over the field.
Surely you didn't mean to say that Caleb Williams has all the attributes. I'm just going to assume you didn't mean that when you said it.
I think he has most of the attributes, yes, that you want.
Here's one sort of important attribute for quarterbacks that he doesn't have. Basic accuracy.
I think that Caleb Williams will be okay when it comes to basic
I'm just
accuracy.
saying, he's the most off-target quarterback in the NFL. If you're going to say he has all of the traits, surely accuracy is a relevant trait.
And you know, I'm big on accuracy. I'm a very big accuracy guy.
Look, it's you don't have to put accuracy above all else. I get that. I'm just explaining. I'm taking the quarterback who's been.
I don't think clearly his accuracy is not, so detrimental that the Bears can't go and win a playoff game. Now, did he throw a game-losing interception, perhaps based on accuracy? A little decision-making thrown in there. Yes, but he has an ability.
Williams has some of the tools to overcome having the worst accuracy among real NFL starting quarterbacks. But he does have about the worst accuracy among real NFL starting quarterbacks.
I still think the other attributes that he has are strong enough that you can deal with some inaccuracies. And accuracy is not something that can't be fixed over time. You've seen that. Again, only in year 2. But I knew you wouldn't like that when that was coming out of my mouth.
Look, fair enough. Well, I'll tell you what, next year we are going to find out a lot about both these players.
Oh, it's a massive year for both of them. And it's the first year where the Bears have real expectations coming into the season.
Caleb Williams doesn't look good next year, right? Like last year, I'm not saying there weren't stretches where he didn't look good, but if he doesn't look more consistent and improve on the weaknesses, you'll start to wonder. And if Jordan Love has another up and down season, it's going to look like that's just who he is.
Yeah, exactly. And, all of it will be for naught as Kyler Murray will inevitably, get back to his MVP caliber form, and the Vikings will, I'd imagine, win 12, 13 games. But
we know what the quarterback ranks division will be next year. Kyler 1, Goff 2, Love 3, Caleb 4.
I can't wait to see it. And the NFC North has what we had the AFC South and the NFC East. Is that it?
Yeah, I believe so.
So those are winnable games right there. This division should be really good. I'm big on Caleb and Jordan Love. I think they're the second and third best. If I'm power ranking current NFC quarterbacks, I go Stafford, Love, Caleb. What?
Really?
Yeah.
You just forgot?
Forgot who?
Kyler Murray. We're just talking about.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry. It would go Stafford, Kyler, Love, Caleb.
Yeah, Kyler's not one. That would be too much.
No, I'm not crazy. Here. But seriously, I mean, I think sometimes in sports media, people can, depending on what you title a video or what the first minute of your take is, people think that Paul hates Jordan Love from the beginning of this video.
So let's put this at the very end where no one will see it.
Or Paul is, completely obsessed with Caleb Williams. No, I think I'm really into Caleb Williams' potential, and I'm a believer that he'll get to that point. Jordan Love, I think, is an awesome quarterback who has an MVP caliber ceiling. Both these guys are great. They're really, really good. Not elite, but really, really good. And I'd love for either of them to be the Vikings QB. So, we'll just see what happens. It should be an exciting season. Now, another story came out today that caught Ziggy's attention and caught my eye too here on Jalen Hurts and what's going on with these Philadelphia Eagles, man. They have to be the strangest successful team that I can recall, maybe in my lifetime. Where, when they're good and when they're on, they feel unbeatable. And a couple of years ago, right, with the tush push and Saquon having an MVP caliber year, the defense is the best in the league. Teams don't just, unless you have Tom Brady, right? Teams don't just blow out the Chiefs in the playoffs. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. So let's just go over the years. You say it's been successful with Jalen Hurts. What have they done? Lost wild card round, lost the Super Bowl, lost the wild card round, won the Super Bowl, lost in the wild card round. Basically, how many franchises are there in the NFL that wouldn't be begging for that level of success?
Oh, and not only that, Ziggy, but in those lost the wild card years, right? They were 9-0, was it, in the year between the Super Bowls? 9 or 10-1, maybe. They were 9-1. That team, right? They were teetering throughout the year on, okay, are they going to fall apart? And they did. I mean, they had a terrible end of the year. They got blown out in Tampa Bay, but they were still really good for a while. And even last year, there are times where you're watching the Eagles. What did the Eagles start last season? Didn't Philly? I'm trying to remember the 2025 Eagles record here. They were 8-3 or 8-2. Like they've gotten off to unbelievable starts for 4 years in a row. But then, it's every other year they just start having these stories come out, and there's the teams arguing, and it's discontent all over the place. And this year, AJ Brown's throwing fits. Do people like Jalen Hurts? Do they not like Jalen Hurts? And next thing you know, season's over, and you're like, what the hell just happened? So I can't remember a time where you saw a team kind of just flip-flopping between self-destructing and Super Bowl champions unbeatable, like the way they have. So tell us a little bit about this article that came out.
Yeah, so this was an article from Jeremy Fowler over at ESPN, and we've sort of been wondering, or at least I've been wondering, when this was going to come out. This was the Jalen Hurts hit piece. Sources in the Eagle locker room, and hit piece doesn't necessarily mean wrong here, but this article basically said people have said it's been the offensive coordinator, people said it's been AJ Brown, people have said it's been the head coach. The problems for this team are solely on Jalen Hurts. And they said, look, Jalen Hurts, he doesn't want to play under center. He doesn't know how to play against zone coverage. He has terrible body language. He's not coachable. He pushes back on the scheme. He diverts the play calls on the field, and they're always bad. He's the one who forced us to run four verts on fourth down in the playoffs when we absolutely needed a conversion. They had someone associated with Devontae Smith coming out saying, if Devontae becomes wide receiver 1, this isn't going to work out because nobody likes Jalen Hurts. Someone from Jalen Hurts' camp said that he's a big whiny baby who needs people to tell him no because no one's willing to tell him no. Like, this was just a bizarre story in a lot of ways. And, you always have to wonder of these pieces, right? People have different perspectives. 100%. People are trying to cover for themselves. But what this tells you, and that you can know for sure, is that in Philadelphia, in the Eagles locker room, there is a huge problem. And that problem is a lot of people are unhappy with where Jalen Hurts has brought them.
Yeah. And, a lot of people come out and they speak anonymously, and I get why people do that. You have to, but
yeah, like you're not going to come out if you're like AJ Brown's childhood friend and be like, this guy sucks. You're not going to come out if you're an Eagles coach and put yourself on the line.
No. You won't do that. That's understandable. Is it a little cowardly? Yeah, but it's a smart decision. But it does tell you, that there's a lot of problems going on there. And it reminds me, Ziggy, right? We saw this with Lamar. A hit piece came out on Lamar at the end of last season as there was that battle between Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, right? One of them was going to stay, one was going to go. When you have a 2-time, could have been 3-time MVP on the team, you know what that decision's going to be. And that's why we see John Harbaugh in New York right now. But a hit piece came out on Lamar, right? Like that was the final hurrah for Harbaugh to stay. It was Lamar, was playing too many video games. That's why video games were taken back. He's not locked in. And now you're seeing this with Hurts here, where they're basically saying, they're trying to change everything up. They want to modernize. They want to use more motion and be like McVay and Shanahan, but Jalen won't do it. And he'll try it for a second, but the second it doesn't work, he's out on it. Go ahead. It looks like you were going to say something.
It's so, I understand why people are saying this, but it's so hard for me to forget. Right. We'll set aside that this didn't seem to be who Jalen Hurts was in college. We'll set aside, it's just so hard for me to remember 2024 Jalen Hurts of that offense, even 2022 Jalen Hurts when he was up in the MVP conversation. It's so hard for me to look back on that and forget how good the offense has been with him. And I know you can say it's been Saquon, it's been the receivers, but we talked about it off the top. There have been extended stretches where this team has looked so good. And then that's always followed by a change in offensive coordinator and things sucking. It's I don't know if it's some guys in the building don't have the equity to tell Jalen Hurts no or what, but I'm a Jalen Hurts hater, right? Today's a great day for me as a Jalen Hurts hater, but it's just hard for me to forget how much success this Eagles team has had when we're looking at a piece like this.
And I think they even wrote that in the article, right? It's Jalen has the 5th highest winning percentage since he's come into the league, something like that. He's done a lot of winning, and that does buy you, right, some equity here. Maybe it's giving him a little bit too much,
When your worst season as a starter is 8-7, and you have 2 trips to the Super Bowl and a ring.
But what's interesting to me is, they were talking about what was brought up in this article. Remember the Packers game, the Monday Night Football game, where we did our instant reaction to it. The Eagles won the game, but they had that 4th down where we ripped Sirianni because it was 4th down, 30 seconds left. They could have taken a field goal, I think. Punted. They could have punted the ball and pinned Green Bay with 15 seconds left on the game inside their own 20-yard line. They took a deep shot to A.J. Brown, kill shot, and missed it and gave Green Bay the ball. And the Packers had a field goal attempt, right? McManus missed it. I think he was hurt in that game, but he missed it.
Easily could have won.
And we came on here and destroyed Nick Sirianni. And everybody the next day came out and destroyed Nick Sirianni and said, we already talked about how dumb we all think this guy is, and he proved it tonight. That's pretty much what we were saying. And in this piece, what comes out? Oh, Sirianni actually didn't call that play. That wasn't Sirianni's decision. In fact, not only
on the broadcast, this is true. I went back and checked. You do see Sirianni sort of shouting like, why after the play is done.
Yes. Not only did Sirianni not call it,
whoever the source was, this isn't Sirianni just like making something up after the fact to look good. He was baffled in the moment.
Yeah, it wasn't only that he didn't agree with the play call. He flat out disagreed with it. And it's just, it makes me wonder, where is this piece coming from? Last year, there were calls for Tanner McKee to be the starting quarterback in the Philadelphia Inquirer. There is clearly a very big disconnect between Jalen Hurts and the rest of the
somewhere.
Yes, so we know something's going on. AJ Brown's probably going to get traded too, right? I mean, that's a weird situation in and of itself where he's, I'm happy. I'm very happy to be here in Philadelphia. And then, the next second he's on a stream and he's saying how much he hates it here and he's only throwing the football to himself. It's just an ugly situation right now. And it's one that makes you think that this thing is on the verge of blowing up. It really does. And would I be surprised if Philadelphia came out next year and is great again? I guess not, because there's so much talent there. But when you have a piece like this come out, and you have the amount of problems the Eagles have had, it's not a coincidence. So something's going on there. But
I'll say this though, right? Like, I remember back in 2023, there were hit pieces coming out about the Eagles. People were talking about the collapse. People were saying Jalen Hurts just can't do it. There was finger pointing in the locker room and in the media. And then what do they go and do? They immediately turn around and win a Super Bowl. You can't count them out.
We don't know any, right? We don't know any of the sources. But what I will say is, in a season where it seems Nick Sirianni is on the hot seat, this article comes out, the Eagles have a down year. Is one of them gone? Is both of them gone? I don't know. I'm not saying Nick Sirianni. I'm not saying like who's behind the articles, but it seems like a year where Philadelphia doesn't meet the expectations, and the expectations that they've set for themselves are to be highly competitive in the NFC. And if that's not met, heads roll in the NFL. That's how it goes. Maybe there's a little bit of early defense right here. So it's all very interesting. I have no problem with the collapse of the Eagles. Their fans are ridiculous. So. All right, we'll wrap it up. Good show. That was fun. Nothing like a little rumor mill. I mean, right there at the end, throwing some shade at the Eagles.
If it were almost any other team, I might feel bad. But as you said, Paul, the Eagles have had their Super Bowl. I want nothing but the downfall of this team.
No, when they double birded the Viking fan walking out of the NFC Championship game in 2017, I have no pity. I have no sympathy for Eagles fans. High enemy on the Paul Farrington enemy list. Very high.
Higher or lower than Stairs?
Higher than Stairs are not my enemy. But that's a good callback for anyone who gets that. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll see you on Tuesday and some fun announcements coming out. We have some fun things in the works that I'm looking forward to introducing with the guys over the next few weeks. So we'll see you soon. NFL draft rolling around. We'll get more into coverage there as we've turned the calendar into April. Should be fun.